and welcome to this week's Most Clicked. This week we are looking at something interesting that's been going on over at the University of Northampton. As ever, joined by Kyle and Matt. Kyle, what are the University of Northampton doing that's so interesting?
Caught my eye because it's a really quite basic thing they're doing, and I think a lot of other unis could just, well, not steal is the wrong word, take inspiration from. So what they've done is they've pulled together all the benefits and all the great stuff that students get almost exclusively by studying with them. I'm sure some of these things are available at other universities, but the key thing is they've pulled it all together onto one web page. And I know that sounds really, really basic, but often universities offer students so many great things when they enroll or when they're considering them as a choice, but they don't have that information in one place. It's often like here and there in different sort of areas of the website. But what this does is it leads to those kind of key items at the top. So like you get a laptop, which is nice. But the other thing that they do, they say, look, if you don't need a laptop, because let's face it, a lot of students already have the tech that they need in that respect. They say, well, you can take the money that you would have got for that laptop, and you can use it for like an accommodation discount. So these are real, like, tangible things. And even the stuff that students, probably most students now get a standard, like subscriptions to lynda.com via LinkedIn. I don't think it's called lynda.com now. Is it called LinkedIn Learning?
LinkedIn Learning, now, isn't it?
Yeah. So this is listed on the page as like a benefit of becoming a student with them. But I imagine most students get that because it comes as part of that Microsoft offer, doesn't it? But listing it, that's what they've done, and that's why it's different. So just having a page like this in your website, if it's a hard time decision making, it might come down to it. There's often loads of factors, and it might not come down to like a £600 accommodation discount, but it could.
It's a good example. I didn't realise like that LinkedIn Learning stuff was all part of the 365 suite and stuff like that. And I think it kind of speaks to those people that just aren't clued up about all of these sorts of things, and it feels like a subscription service. It feels quite lifestyle to me, like join this and you'll get all of these extra things. And I see that from a lot of lifestyle SaaS products, but you don't see it from universities, and that's crazy because there are the benefits that universities can give are so immense. But like you say, just bundling this together, it starts to feel almost a bit Silicon Valley. And I see it in other parts of my personal life. Like, I don't know, my bank account comes with all additional benefits and stuff now. And all these private sector companies are definitely jumping onto that bandwagon. So it's really, really refreshing to see a university taking the bull by the horns and joining that charge, for sure.
Yeah, you're right. And, on that subscription angle, Northampton aren't doing this, but a lot of digital publishers now are grouping subscriptions from multiple publishers. So if you sign up to use this service, you'll get subscriptions like, for example, New York Times plus 5 others that you would have had to spend separately for in the past. And I don't know what the university equivalent of that is, but even something like LinkedIn Learning, having used it, it's an incredible tool. Most professionals in higher education have access to this tool, and I've used it before for like brush up and like SEO stuff and all that, and it's all there. And to actually have that as a student is a great additional resource to support general studies and lectures, really.
And it doesn't feel contrived either.
No, not at all.
Looking at that page, it doesn't feel forced. It doesn't feel like they've looked at a subscription service and gone, we must copy this idea. It feels like a genuine extension of the university kind of process. So I love it. I'd love to see more universities. I'd actually like to see more universities push this as part of their kind of core about us sections on their websites and things like that. I think it's going to become, or it feels like it could become, a real big part of the application and recruitment process.
Yeah, and think about, like, one of the most challenging aspects of university marketing is to actually have those differentiators, isn't it? Because you know, you can have a great campaign and all that, and you know, your messaging can be your differentiator almost, but it is very difficult to differentiate some universities between each other, and having that package of benefits could be something that you use to differentiate yourself. And the painful thing is that most universities probably have this, but not many of them are using it as a tool, and definitely not pulling it together as like a meaningful package. Coventry University used to do it. I can't remember what they used to call it, but they renamed it some sort of package as part of starting at the university, and they used to use that as a tactic.
But so, the way that I why it resonates with me is Matt and I do a lot of pitching work, and in pitching, if you don't say it, it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And it's similar with this, I think, is that there are probably tons of universities that have this. It's just not visible. And if it's not visible to the student, then it doesn't exist to the student. So even for University of Northampton, they may have created a differentiator just saying that they do this in a really publicly visible way. And I'm sure that there are other universities that do that, but there's also a lot of care and attention that's gone into this landing page, this sales page that they've put together. And I think it'll really pay off for them. I think they should be commended for that.
And I'll second that by saying, when I do this research and find these universities, I am vicious. And I mean, like, I'm on a page for like 5 seconds, and if something doesn't grab me, I'm off to the next one. So clearly I've arrived here and I found this reasonably easily. So yeah, no, fair play to them. It's really well done, and it was easy to find.
It begins to allude to the wider experience on offer as well for me. One of the perks that stood out was free sports and societies, and even including all of the kit that might be needed to do so. What a cool thing to do. Last week we talked about belonging, and actually it begins to sell that wider experience, and you can get an understanding of the kind of experience you're going to have at the university. I love it. It's really smart.
Yeah, really nice, really nice. A great example as well, Carl. And it's I think, as much as anything, you know, it's the whole premise of Most Clicked, right, is that it is the most clicked items from your newsletter. So it's nice to have some of that reassurance as well, that other people in the sector also think that that's a really cool idea. And that's something that we perhaps don't talk about enough on a show called Most Clicked. But yeah, I think it's really, really, really cool that the sector is looking at this, and I'm excited to see if others follow, or what did you call it? Not steal. What was it?
Take inspiration from.
Take inspiration from. My go-to always used to be liberate. I'm going to liberate this idea. But yeah, no, absolutely. All right. Well, thanks so much once again, Kyle, Matt. Been a pleasure. If you have enjoyed today's show, please consider dropping us a like, maybe even a subscribe as well if you're feeling like it. We'll be back next Monday, 9 a.m. Until then, see you.